Welcome in, college football fans. Thank you so much for tuning in to the First and Long College Football Show. We're going to get to the reaction video that you clicked on here in just a second. But first, I want to get you to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. So that way you know when First and Long is posting content and we can put it in your feed and enjoy college football together this year. College football is just heating up. Join us multiple times a week as we go live and upload videos. We would certainly appreciate it. Enjoy. To Athens, Georgia, baby. And let's talk about them Georgia Bulldogs. The Bulldogs put it on the Rebels pretty rough. And look, this was a good game for a little bit there. Teams were trading blows. It seemed like Ole Miss, when they juked, Georgia jived, and they just got right down the field and scored a couple times and made it look like it was going to be a day that Kirby Smart was going to be really frustrated with the defense, and then all of a sudden something clicked, man. And I don't know if they ran out of scripted plays or what happened, but there were very clearly adjustments made, and Georgia ends up winning this thing 52-17. And I'll pull up some of the stats here on this game, and we'll look at Mr. Carson Beck. But before we do that, I mean, third down efficiency, Georgia was 5 of 8. Ole Miss only 6 of 15. I mean, there's your game stat right there. And not to mention, we talk about it all the time. These coaches making boneheaded decisions. Ole Miss didn't even give Georgia a chance really to make mistakes in this game. I didn't feel like they didn't slow them down enough to see if they could make them make a mistake. Going for it on fourth down whenever you have no reason to do so. Have some faith in your defense. Punt the ball, okay, and make Georgia drive the length of the field. But instead, you set them up with a short field early in the game. We knew going into this one, we talked about it as the game was going on. If Georgia gets 2 stops, they win. Mm-hmm. I mean, in worst case scenario, if Georgia gets 2 stops, they win because Ole Miss ain't going to stop them. And they didn't. Other than on really one drive where there was a tip pass that was intercepted at the end of the half, it amounted to nothing.
Yeah.
So Georgia cruises here. Carson Beck, we've talked about it a little bit. This guy is sharp as a tack. We've yet to see him have a bad game as a player. He's so cool and calm back there, never gets flustered, had all day. The offensive line played amazing this weekend. Just had all day to pick the defense apart. And let's see how many yards Mr. Beck had. He was 18 of 25 for 306, another 300-yard game for Carson Beck. This puts him right there, top 5 in passing in the nation as far as yards go. He's really freaking good, man. This is a first-round type talent that we're watching, I think, and maybe sooner rather than later. What did you think about the game and Carson Beck's performance? And we got to see Brock Bowers perhaps score his last touchdown in Sanford Stadium for his career. So that was a very awesome moment. I think maybe that's why they tried to get him back in this game and get him a touchdown here. I think that was kind of the thought process whenever he got hurt was how can we get this guy back out on the field before the season's over, because I seriously doubt that he's coming back to Athens for another year with the money he's going to have offered to him.
Yeah, and speaking of Bowers, while we're on that topic, I don't know if you saw this, but after the game, Kirby was asked about Bowers and, him playing and all that, and he said that, Bowers told him, hey, coach, I had some agents reach out to me, and, they said that I shouldn't play in this game and that I shouldn't play for Georgia anymore and focus on the NFL draft, and that just pissed me off. It makes me want to go out there and play even more, And he said, needless to say, none of them will be my agent, none of those that reached out to me. So
Wow.
It's pretty interesting, and hearing the inner workings of how kind of that relationship works with agents and players. I thought it was interesting. And look, Brock Bowers is a specimen. He is unlike anybody else in college football, I think, right now. And it showed, he had 3 catches. was it 34 yards and a touchdown. Nothing crazy, but he looked good out there, and he had some good blocks. He played, I think, the majority of the snaps. At least that the first team
Didn't
was
look
out
like he
there.
just had tightrope surgery.
No drop off really at all. They didn't need him a whole lot. I think that they wanted to limit his exposure to high risk situations and plays,
I
and
saw him with some
they didn't
really
need
good
him.
blocks, though.
Yeah, yeah, he did have some really good blocks, but Georgia and Carson did a good job of spreading the ball around. No receiver had more than 4 catches for Georgia, and they had 9 players with a reception. So they really just distributed the ball well and used all their resources. They didn't just have to go to Brock Bowers. And then
Yeah.
Kendall Milton had one heck of a game. 9 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns, a career high for him. And they really got all the running backs involved. They had 5 different running backs get a carry in this game.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive. And look, this was just a route. We told you that this was going to happen. Ole Miss's defense was not going to be able to stop Georgia. Georgia had 1 punt on the day and 1 interception, and those were the only times that they didn't go down and score the football or score a touchdown or a field goal. And Ole Miss had to punt 3 times and had 4 times and had an interception and a
And a
turnover on
turnover
downs.
on downs. Yep.
So that was the difference in the game. I mean, I thought that UGA played a complete game. They look like the number 1 team in the country right now. I know that's where I've got them, and I'm anxious to see as we unveil our top 25 ranking before the AP does and before the college football playoffs. I'm anxious to see where they end up.
Yeah. I was super impressed with Javon Bullard in this game too.
Yep.
The man is a physical specimen. Loves contact, loves physicality. Um, if I'm a opposing team, that is one of the scariest dudes on the field. You just don't know what he's about to do. He might bait you into a deep throw and run over there and pick your ass off, or he may bait you into throwing below him and just absolutely crack back in somebody. You don't know what this guy's going to do. Absolute animal on defense. A lot of fun to watch last night. Georgia has 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. Defense played very well,
Yep.
especially after making those adjustments.
And,
That was
and they,
impressive.
one thing that we talked about in our breakdown was Ole Miss's defense and their ability to rush the passer. Georgia gave up no sacks in this game. No tackles for a loss.
Yeah.
They were not disruptive. Prior to this game, Ole Miss was 10th in the country in their havoc rate and getting to the passer on over 9% of their snaps, and Georgia just shut them down. So huge credit to their offensive line, who's getting healthier. They got Amarius Mims back, and they're starting to. Georgia as a whole is just starting to get healthy, and it's showing.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Again, Georgia wins 52-17 total butt whooping of the Ole Miss Rebels, and Georgia will be going on the road next week to play Tennessee, and we'll be breaking that game down. And it looks like Georgia is firing on all cylinders right now. USC at Oregon.